We've got our next speaker. Our next talk is the Perfect Player Research Results. We've got Joan here.
Yeah,
I'm going to come up to the front.
Awesome. Let's get started. Yeah, super happy to get to talk to you today about some exciting insights into a research study that we did in the world of rewarded user acquisition. So my name is Jan, and I'm going to guide you through the next 15 minutes of that. And before I get started, if you already have a question mark in your head, what is actually rewarded user acquisition? Let me just take 2 minutes to guide you through it to get everyone on the same level. All right, so essentially in one picture, that's it. Rewarded user acquisition, that means we reward users primarily for mobile games to get the games downloaded, to progress within the games, to test the games, ideally to purchase within the games, essentially every event you as game developer would like to have done within the games. And this is also what we do, Almedia, primarily through our app that is called Free Cash. So if the next question mark pops up in your head, why is this interesting for me? Why should I care? If you are in user acquisition, if you are part of a mobile developer developing games, you might have heard of us already. If not, then you should listen especially carefully. Essentially because it's been an insanely growing market. So just in the last year alone, the market share of rewarded user acquisition more or less doubled, or more than doubled, if you look at all the user acquisition budgets. And yeah, so sounds great. I mean, sounds great for me, great for my company, but actually also we ourselves are wondering, why is this, right? Like, what's going on? Why has this been such an insanely growing market? And what has changed? What is happening? And also then, we were wondering, and we of course have our theories, but then we thought, okay, we need some evidence. So what's the reason for this? And that's why we decided then, end of last year, November, December, to launch a study. And actually, 2 studies. So we asked both main stakeholders in this industry. So on the one side, 500 mobile game developers, primarily user acquisition managers, and also another set where we asked actually the gamers, so the users, 2,000 of them, 1K from the US, 1K from the UK. And yeah, so it was an online study, completely randomized user base, so nothing to do with Free Cash or Almedia or us. And yeah, the study will be published in 2 weeks, or not in 2 weeks, in a few weeks, but you are now getting some few exclusive results, and basically the very first sneak preview into what we found. Yeah, and the focus actually will be now on the gamer side. So the first part, that one is published already, the second part soon, and I'm going to show you now a bit what we found with the gamers. So yeah, we have asked them all sorts of questions about their behavior and their preferences, and 30, 40 questions, and then as we dug deeper, we actually found some quite interesting insights and interesting data when we were looking into the correlation and the cause and effects of the topic between the rewards and the value of a user. So this is where we struck the gold, and the goal of the presentation will be to show you some of those new aspects and relations that we found. And without further ado, here are the key learnings that we found. So there are 3. And the first one, it's actually the most closely related to what you already know. So obviously, rewarded user acquisition expands the possibilities and the effects of rewards. So because essentially, you give rewards in the games, but now on the rewarded user acquisition platforms, you give the users additional rewards. And I mean, here the cause and effect are quite known. I mean, the whole reason why you do those rewards within the games, you give the users, gems or all sorts of virtual rewards, because you want the user to basically turn from a, let's say, low-value player into a high-value player. It's all about getting them engaged in the game, and ultimately, I guess, getting them to spend or just spend time within the games. What we see in our data, however, is evidence of another aspect. And this is that this is especially relevant for high-value gamers. So they care especially for those rewards as opposed to the ones of low value. and also that they are actively demanding and searching and looking for those rewards, the high-value players. So, next part of the presentation will be to show you a bit in detail those 3 points. But before I get into that, let me do a bit of scientific housekeeping, because some of the terms are already mentioned. Let's clarify them. First one, what's a high-value gamer or high-value player? I'm going to talk a lot about this term. Essentially, 2 parts of it. I mean, what you also consider as high quality. So it means either they're doing a lot of in-app purchases, or they're spending a lot of time within the games. So yeah, because either, of course, you can directly monetize this through ads, or in the long run, you know, more engagement, more likely will spend to more purchases. So essentially, it's kind of the same, or like 2 sides of the same coin. And this is also what we see in our database. So just to, like, again, get the basics, so the 2,000 gamers that we asked, you can clearly see, so we ask them how much do they spend on average per month, and how much do they play in terms of time per day. And you can clearly see that correlation. So the more they play, the more they spend. Yeah, the highest value players, everyone who spends more than $500 on average per month, I mean, most of them play more than 5 hours, while the users that spend nothing spend, yeah, most of them less than 2 hours. I think this shouldn't be something new to you. I mean, if you look into your game, if you're a developer, you probably see exactly that. And you see also exactly, I guess, what we see in our base that we asked. So most of the users are not spending, or spending very, very little. Only, like, you have this tiny 1% there of the whales. And they're a bit more, let's say, lenient when it comes to time. People are more willing to spend time. And then when I'm talking about rewards, so here again, I'm going to talk about 2 types of rewards. The real-world rewards and the in-game rewards. So in-game rewards, that's everything that you earn only within the games and you cannot use outside of the game. So again, gems, stars, levels, certain progressions, certain avatars, coins. And the real-world rewards, so that is something that can be earned outside of the game, primarily also very cash equivalents, or gift cards, or something that you can use outside of the actual game. All right, then let's get into the first key learning that we found. So especially high-value gamers care about rewards. So in general, if you look at all the results that we see, and again, this is something you should know, and you probably know, and the whole reason why I guess your monetization teams in your games are doing countless A/B testings, giving rewards, like in order to get the users engaged, because they do. And that's what they're saying themselves. So 70% say, you know, yes, it gets me playing the game more often and longer, and also 23% say, of course, it gets me to spend more somehow. Only 7% say, okay, I don't care. But then if you're actually now splitting the answers into the, value of the user or the time they spend. So here again, so this is going to be my favorite graph, splitting our answers into their value, what they say in terms of time spent or purchases. You see that the ones, so nobody has obviously a negative, let's say, feeling towards rewards, but what you can see, the more time they spend, the more they have a positive attitude to it. So in one sense, you can basically, with these rewards, filter for those users and especially attract the high-value gamers. And asking the question slightly differently and looking now at the purchases, you see exactly the same. Again, very high correlation between purchases and time spent. The more they spend, the more positive, the more relevant for them are the rewards. And if you're looking closely into the question, how we ask it, so it says to download or play the game. So it's not only about playing the game, it is also about downloading it. The circle moved a bit, but this is coming to my second key learning here. So high-value gamers demand and look for rewards, and this is especially relevant for the topic of downloads. because we also ask the users where are they actually looking for games, where do they discover the games. And again, we split it according to the value. I'm just looking now at the two most extremes here. On the one side, our most valuable players, and on the other side, the no spenders. And what you can see here, so actually, yeah, for the high value players, the loyalty or reward-based platforms are the #1 source or way to discover games, while for the low value players, it looks actually quite differently. It's only on the 4th place. So yeah, 2 insights into this. I mean, and if you really, and we also didn't know about this, but if you think about it, it makes totally sense, right? So a player who already knows that they're going to spend a lot, well, they say, I might as well go there where I get most for my money, right? I'm spending, I want value, I want some rewards, I want something for it, so I go there where I get the most. And they also obviously then at some point get the attitude, hey, I want something for my money, and if I have the option here, then let's do it. Of course, for the low value players, they get into the games through the classic ads, in-game ads, or App Store recommendations rather, which also makes sense, right? Because they don't have these expectations. They're not going to spend any money, so why should they also expect to get a lot back? And again, it's a good way to filter for those high value players when you do user acquisition. Furthermore, some good insights in terms of what happens after the rewarded downloads, what actually happens after the rewards end. Here we can see the same. So in general, actually more or less, like the majority of all users stay engaged. So it's not only about the rewards, right? It's just about getting them into it. They feel like they get an additional value, and then again, they like the game, they play it. And again, it's especially the case for those high value players that, yeah, they continue playing the game even after this initial reward ended. And coming now to the third and last key learning. So rewarded user acquisition offers a higher quantity and quality for rewards. So quantity, I think this is quite clear. I said it shortly in the beginning. You're simply offering the gamer and the user more rewards because you can give them, yeah, not only the rewards inside of the game, they also benefit from them outside of the game. So it's just more of something what they like. But if you're looking into the quality, I think that's kind of, again, where there's, I think, a few new aspects to it. And this is related to the type of rewards. So, yeah, unless you're a real money game, which the majority is not, most of the in-game rewards that games have and give out are the in-game rewards. So the ones here in beige colored. But actually, what you can see here, you're actually losing out on what the majority likes most, which are the real-world rewards. Yeah, so gift cards or cash equivalent rewards. And so, yeah, rewarded user acquisition is a great way for you to offer this if you in your game don't want to do this, you're limited or you can't do it. And basically with rewarded user acquisition platforms, you can kind of double the type of rewards you want to give, or double like the interest in terms of like user base or catering their preferences. And again, splitting the results into the value of the user. Same results that we see for the in-game rewards in general. It's the same is true for the real-world rewards. Yeah, the more they play, the more engaged they are, the more value they have, the more positive they are towards those in-game rewards. Again, hardly anyone dislikes it. Again, it's a way to overproportionally attract, I presume, the players most of you want, which are the ones that are highly engaged. And if you think of those real-world rewards in another way, as cashback, it's actually an established method that has been existing for 20 years in the e-commerce world, right? So we also have these 5% cashback deals, of course, which are given out in the hope that in the end the consumers are spending more as what you give them with the cashback, and it works. Otherwise, they wouldn't do it. And now with this rewarded user acquisition, you have an opportunity to apply exactly that model, that concept into the gaming world. Basically, yeah, giving cashback to the users for purchases, and of course, structuring it in such a way that in the end, there's a positive benefit for you out of this. Yeah, and these were the three main findings. So to conclude it, again, so we have seen like, a new type of correlation or a new cause of effect when it comes to the value and the rewards. So one thing is what you already knew. It works this one side, that the rewards, they encourage low spenders to become high spenders or high engaged users by playing. But what's kind of new, we also see the relation the other way around, that the high value players, these ex-ante high value players that already are and that are there and they know it, that they demand those rewards and they want them and they're actively looking for it. Yeah, because they expect more value for what they spend. So, in sum, if you want to get high quality traffic, there are three key ways to do this. So the first one is simply providing more rewards, obviously outside also of the game, providing more real-world rewards because many of them prefer those, and third point, advertise those rewards before users downloading it, right? Make clear through your advertisements, hey, if you come to me, play my game, you get these kind of rewards in-game, outside of the game, those dopamine hits that you want. And luckily, rewarded user acquisition provides exactly that. So showing you now the last slide, the proof is in the numbers. So here we ask one of our clients to share their results, basically one campaign from April last year, Almedia, so free cash, our company, and then also compared with Google. And you can basically see after half a year, the average revenue per user is almost 3 times as much as through a classic user acquisition source. Because yeah, we over proportionally attract those high value players, we get them to spend. And with this, I'm ending the presentation. So yeah, if you actually want all the data in detail, so pre-register for the full study, you can also already download the actual first part of the survey. Just go on the QR code. And with that, I'm opening it to the audience. If you have any questions, go ahead.